There was a Sergeant George Baker, U.S. Army, Sergeant Baker. He wrote a comic strip that went in the Yank magazine. It was an Armed Forces magazine. And it was called The Sad Sack. I did not say sad sack just because you walked in, sir. I didn't mean that. But this was The Sad Sack. Has any of you ever heard of The Sad Sack? Few of you have. Okay. But a comic strip. It was about a soldier who got into all kinds of difficult situations. They were all hilarious and humorous. Sad sack. Do you have a sad sack religion? I know a lot of people got a religion that's sad sack. Gloom and doom all of the time. Negative all of the time. Sad sack religion. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, you are the light of the world. He's talking to Christians, to you, to me. You are the light of the world. Well, you cannot brighten up the world if you're dark and gloomy yourself. Someone has said that the longer your face is, the shorter your list of converts will be. A lot of the teaching and preaching that I see and hear around about is sad sack religion. Everything is bad, 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 bad. Jesus was not a sad sack. He was not a frowning saint. Jesus enjoyed life. That's why I put in that bulletin, that artist concept of Jesus laughing. You never see him that way. All of the paintings that you see of Jesus, he really looks very sad and serious all of the time. You could not attract the crowds. You could not have people flocking to hear you if all the time you're down, down, down on everything and everybody. No, I believe that we can lighten up the world if we lighten up a little bit. In other words, I think our religion should be a happy religion, a joyous religion, an exuberant, effervescent religion. It's like that little Alka-Seltzer tablet you drop in the water and it just fizzes and fizzes. I want to be an Alka-Seltzer Christian. I want to make some fizz. I want to make some happiness. I want to make some good times. I want people to enjoy their religion, enjoy life. Christianity is not a sad, dull, drab religion, but I believe Christ loves a good time. And so he does in the 2nd chapter of John. In the first of his miracles. On the 3rd there, verse 1 and following, on the 3rd day there was a wedding at Cana. Now, some of you know what's coming, don't you? There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also was invited to the wedding with his disciples. At this point, he has 5 disciples. He hasn't called all of them yet. So you have Jesus plus 5. You've got 6 people showing up at this wedding, along with everybody else. And when the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, they had no wine. She didn't ask him to do anything. She didn't make any suggestions. She just said, son, the crop is dry. They're out of wine. And Jesus said to her, woman, and that is not a rude address. In that day, Jesus would have addressed his mother as woman. He did so on the cross. Woman, behold your son. Woman, what has this to do with me? My hour has not yet come. I'm not going to go into it, and I'm not going to digress, and I'm not going to bore you with this, but the term this hour, H-O-U-R, is very prevalent in the Gospel according to John. And the hour is Jesus' hour of glory when he dies on the cross, is buried, and rises on the third day. All of that is called my hour. And even though Jesus at age 30 here, 3 years before he dies on the cross, he's at a wedding, they're out of wine, he says, Mother, my hour is not yet come to demonstrate my glory, to demonstrate my beauty, to demonstrate my power. It has not yet come. What's mother do? Verse 5, his mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you to do. She didn't ask Jesus to do anything about getting some wine. She just said, they're out. And then she said, whatever my son tells you to do, do it. In other words, she knew he's going to do something. She knows this. And indeed he did. Because Jesus believed in a good time. Yes, he did. Now there were 6 stone water jars. By the way, each one of them holds 120 to 130 gallons. Ooh, we're talking some water, aren't we? We're talking some wine, aren't we? It's a big party. You got to remember that in Jesus' day, when they had a wedding, it was not a 20-minute little thing and then maybe an hour at a reception and go home. It was a week-long party for the whole town. Everybody, y'all come. Everybody came to the party. Anybody that wanted to could come. They drank up a little wine. It's all gone. There's 6 water jars for the Jewish rites of purification. When guests came in, they sat them down and they bathed their feet, they bathed their hands, they poured water or oil on their head. That water was there for a purpose, for cleansing. 6 stone jars. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. They filled them up to the brim. He said to them, now, draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. The master of the feast is not the bridegroom. He is the head steward. He's the guy that's in charge of the whole meal, having everything laid out for a whole week, taking care of everybody, making sure everybody has hospitality. He's in charge. Jesus said, draw out some and take it to the master of the feast. So they took it. And when the master of the feast tasted the water now become wine, and did not know where it was from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said, wow! Everyone serves the good wine first. And when people have drunk freely, they've had quite a bit, you know. They're a little bit, you know, not with it. Everyone serves the good wine first, and when people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. This is good. This is the first of his signs. Matthew, Mark, and Luke talk about miracles of Jesus. John, in his gospel account, calls miracles signs. We're going to look at that next week and following some weeks. There are 7 signs in the Gospel of John. We would call each of them a miracle. We'll look at those. This is the first of his signs Jesus did at Cana in Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Party time. We like parties. You say eating, meeting, that building will fill up. Who knows if we had an eat meeting every Sunday, this might fill up. Because Baptists like to eat. Does anyone else eat beside Baptists? I don't know. But I know we like a good time. We like an enjoyable time together. Well, in Jesus' day, the Jews had a wedding. It was a week long of joyous festivity, and people were invited. But if you ran out of goods, it was embarrassing. In this miracle, this sign of turning water into wine, Jesus, I think, for one thing, is helping the bride and bridegroom have a good wedding without any embarrassment. We're going to have a wedding here. We're going to have a wedding here next month. We've announced a date. Everybody has come. They're going to use the room in the back for their reception. And the wedding's all over, and they go back, and I mean, there's nothing there. Kind of embarrassing, isn't it? Jesus is saving this bride and bridegroom, this family, of failure in social graces. Jesus wants us to be happy, and he wants us to be unembarrassed. He wants us to have a good life. So he does this miracle. There's another reason that he chooses this to turn the water into wine, to make the festivity great. He's showing, and he's God in the flesh. He is God's Son. He's God incarnate. He's showing that God gives his approval to celebrating holy matrimony. It's a rather large church. The preacher was planning a wedding for a young couple. And the next Sunday, after the benediction, he wants to call them forward to inform the church of when this is going to be. But he couldn't remember their name. Must have been an old preacher like someone I know. He couldn't remember their name. So what's he going to do? He said, would those who would want to get married please come forward? 6 women, 3 widowers, and 5 bachelors come running down the aisle and came forward. He accomplished his purpose in getting them there, but he wanted the church to know there's coming a wedding, and I want you to know we of the church, we of God's people are a part of that, and we celebrate together because God is involved and approves of a wedding. He approves of family values. It's very important. So he's saving this man social embarrassment. He is demonstrating that as the Son of God, he gives approval to the wedding itself. But I think most of all, he wants them to have a joyous, happy, good time. On another occasion, Jesus in the Gospel of Mark said, "No one puts new wine in old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skin, and the wine is destroyed. And so are the skins. New wine is for fresh wineskins." What is he saying? They would take a wineskin made out of natural flesh, out of leather. And if they put new wine in it, as that wine gets old, it does what? It expands. It releases gas. I don't know a lot about wine, but I guess it makes a lot of gas, doesn't it? Those of you who know wine just nodded yes, okay? There's a few of you. If you do that, and it's an old wineskin that is brittle and hard, it's going to break, it's going to crack, it's going to leak, and you've lost it all. So he said, if you've got some new wine that is not yet fully aged, you put it in a new wineskin, and they will go together, and it will be safe. What is Jesus saying in that? He came to give new wine. He gave the new excitement. He came to bring a religion that doesn't fit in the old, drab, hard, cruel ways. He's come to bring a religion that will grow and will age and is fresh and is exciting. And so you can't cram it into an old system. He's saying why religion is an exciting religion. Drab religion, dull, do's and don'ts, stern, harsh on people, rules, lots of rules. No, I came to give an exciting, happy, joyous kind of life to you. I want to give to you a more abundant life. John 10:10, Jesus said, I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. What Jesus wants you to have is something better than what you already have. What he wants you to have is something that is just filled with joy and abundant joy, and it just fills you up. Now, we're not talking about jumping up and down and hollering. We're not talking about charismatic. We're not talking about somehow putting on a show. We're not talking about exhibitionism. We're talking about people who have the Christ-like religion, the Christ-like life inside, that it makes them joyful and happy no matter how bad the circumstances are, no matter what you may be going through. When you know Christ as your Savior, he will bring to you a merriment and a happiness that exceeds anything that this world has to offer. Oh, there's a light in the valley of death since Jesus came into my heart. And the gates of the city beyond I can see since Jesus came into my heart. I shall go there to dwell in that city since Jesus came in my heart, and I'm happy, so happy, so happy. Onward I go since Jesus came into my heart. Number 600.